Hello, welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I've actually had these books for a while, but I didn't really know how to do a video on them because I didn't want to do a straight up review because they'd actually been out for a while. And then I saw this piece of news. Now, what two books am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about this, so the Aliens 40 Years, 40 Artists, which is absolutely mammoth. I mean, it's bigger than my bloody head. A fantastic book. And then this one, which is The Making of Aliens by J.W Rinzlers, which is, again, a fantastic book. But because they've been out for a while, I didn't really know how to approach a video that would actually, I guess, kind of get some views, if that makes sense. Because when I do a review like this, I want a lot of people to see them because, well, book reviews don't get a lot of views. But I think they should, because they're great. And then I saw this bit of news float up on avpgalaxy.net, which I'll leave a link down below, which actually takes some excerpts from this. So I thought what we'd do is dive into it and then kind of give you my thoughts on both of these books at the same time, because I think that kind of makes sense. So if you want to check out where these books are from, they're from Titan Publishing or Titan Books. I'll leave the links down below. I love them. Titan Publishing are amazing. Like, I genuinely really like Titan Books. Or at least I really like the stuff which I get from them. Because obviously I'm quite selective. I'm sure that they do stuff which I don't like. But on a whole, they just... The fact that they did this, 40 years, 40 artists, to commemorate, 40 years of Alien. This is some of the most stunning artwork I've ever seen. And it truly is. And what a... Like, I used the term before in some of these book reviews, because I've done a few of them on the channel. I used the term coffee book, coffee table book. Something which you'd see... lying around on a coffee table in like an office or the reception room of something that you take a look at and you go, oh yeah, what's this? I love this. How absolutely fantastic. You kind of take a good look around it. I mean, this is truly amazing. It's one of those things that you take a good look through, and you kind of think nothing of it. But it's one of those books that you take a good look through and you go, actually, I'd really quite like to own something like that. So this one. Amazing. As a collector's item, someone who loves Alien, yeah, buy this. This is exceptionally good. And it's quite reasonable as well. I mean, they always have the prices on the back. So for the UK, it's only, it's under £30. It's £29.99. For the US market, it comes in at £39.95, which, conversion ratio and things like that would probably be about right. And Canada is, was it $53.95. So good value for money. I'm sure you can buy them cheaper on Amazon or something like that. There's always deals going. So check them out. But let's take a look at the news pertaining to the making of Aliens. Now, I did a review of the making of Alien, which was done by, again, the same chap, J.W Rinzlers. In fact, this is the same guy who does a lot of the making of Star Wars. He's the guy who basically made this type of book happen. And he's really good. Now, as a quick review before we get into the news part of this video, is I will say that as good as this book is, because it is, the making of Alien is better. There's more storyboards, there's a little bit... Because Alien's so iconic and there was a lot of nonsense behind it, how it got made, why it even got made, storyboarding, how Ridley Scott came on late, like there's all this stuff. I do think that the Alien one is better, but equally as so, the making of Aliens is not a bad book, I'd still say it's a collector's item. It's still, I mean, look at it. It's ginormous. It's like, I don't know, inch and a half, thick. It's a huge book. So I can highly recommend it. But there is some interesting excerpts from it pertaining to how Aliens even got made, like the long lost story notes from Walter Hill and David Giler himself. They're very funny. They're very funny. So let's dive right into it. But like I said, please do check out where these books are from because they are linked down below. And I would highly recommend anyone get a hold of them if you're an Alien fan. And especially, look, the whole world's gone to crap, in a handbasket. Hell in a handbasket. Go buy them. They're good read. It's something good to pick up. Something good to sort of, I guess, commemorate the 20th Century Fox version of Aliens before Disney ultimately changes it, I'm sure. So, let's dive into the news. Right, so like I said, this is on avpgalaxy.net, friends of the channel. Really good website. Unfortunately, there's not really been much news for a while, although I do have 2 Alien and Predator videos up today, so stay tuned for the second one, which is all to do with Marvel variant covers. But let's check it out, right? So this is from Corporal Hicks. He's, again, friend of the channel. I've met him. Nice guy, actually. Really, really good dude. But this basically summarizes some excerpts in this book, which is some of the most interesting stuff, I would say, out of the book. What I find interesting, anyway. So in a franchise where Alien 3 exists, it's easy for films with less complicated narrative developments to be seen as having a simple journey. But what we might tend to forget is that there are countless pitches and treatments that are never heard of outside of studio executives. A point that was reiterated to us recently in our interview with screenwriter Alex Litvak. So again, you know, they do interviews and stuff like that. Basically, just think of all those Alien 5 and Predator 3 pitches and treatments that are probably locked away in a vault at 20th Century Studios. But sometimes we do hear about some of those pitches or treatments. Back in 2019, Corporal Hicks wrote a piece on the Alien 2 that never happened, talking about all the possible directions that we heard about the Alien sequel, which could have gone. And there's, I mean, they've got the Alien 3 pitch is a pretty famous one, isn't it? With the spores and things like that, and going to Earth. It's quite a good one. While James Cameron's Aliens had a fairly straightforward narrative development, with the details from his treatment to finished script remaining largely consistent, with some interesting could-have-beens, the story notes that Walter Hill and David Giler had handed the director, or the writer as well, were a fair bit different. They're sort of different, but they're also sort of the same. It's quite funny, to be honest. So basically, speaking on superior firepower, the making of Aliens, David Giler attributed the disruption more to Norman Levy, than the vice chairman of 20th Century Fox, explaining that Giler was told that Levy was really opposed to it. So here we go. So according to J.W. Rinzlers, in his recently released Making of Aliens, so again, the book which I've just given, I guess, kind of a brief review of, but I genuinely recommend checking out. It's a good book. The development of a sequel was actually mandated in 1983 by a settlement following a years-long court battle between Brandywine and 20th Century Fox regarding the profits from Alien. Studios like to do this. You remember that long drawn-out battle between George Miller and Warner Brothers for Mad Max? Studios love it. They do love it. But anyway, so Fox weren't obligated to actually produce an Alien 2. They were required to put the project into development. While they weren't certain where to go with it, Hill and Giler eventually settled on taking the next film into a more militaristic direction. So you can kind of see the seeds of Aliens in there. But in 1984, Norman Levy resigned as vice chairman from Fox following Barry Diller's appointment as the chairman. It was after this further change in management that David Giler was approached in the parking lot of 20th Century Fox by an unnamed executive who spoke to Giler about an Alien sequel. Giler was asked, "What do you want to do?" And here's the response. "So I kind of told him this story that was a cross between Southern Comfort, that Walter and I had made since, and the Magnificent Seven that we were working on at the moment. And he said, 'Great, that sounds fine.' We all had a meeting, and we were on." That's how it got made, is it really? Christ alive. Like, how funny is that? In 2001, Orion published Aliens, the illustrated screenplay, which contained an interview that Paul M. Salmon had conducted with James Cameron several years earlier in 1998. While discussing the writing process of Aliens, Cameron told Salmon how, after having gotten the opportunity to write a treatment for Aliens following a largely disastrous pitch meeting with Walter Hill and David Giler, he had asked for whatever notes the Brandywine producers had come up with. According to Cameron, he was handed a one-paragraph story outlined by David Giler. Best story outline ever. The outline said something like, "Ripley gets rescued and goes back to the planet with a bunch of soldiers. They are attacked and eaten." That was pretty much it. Except that, and I'll never forget this, the outline concluded with the sentence, "and then some other bullshit happens." Which I thought trivialised the entire process of actually figuring out what the story should be. Yeah, it's like, can you imagine? Oh, hey, I've got this great story outline for a new movie. Do you want to read it? Yeah. And then some other bullshit happens. You just be like, well, why am I making this then? Like, god damn. Cameron hadn't been far off. That summary actually ended simply some bullshit, but it had been 15 years, so we'll have to forgive the lapse in memory. But for the longest time, the above was the extent of what we know about Hill and Giler's early ideas for an Alien 2. So here we go, right? Enter J.W. Rinzler, following on from his phenomenal The Making of Alien book with The Making of Aliens. Rinzler continued to dig up some those unseen scripts and documents, and for the first time ever dished the details on what Hill and Giler had handed to James Cameron. So here's what it is, right? Their notes open with a very similar setup to the finished Aliens, where Ripley is awakened after a lengthy sleep drifting through space, to find skepticism regarding her claims, and that the as yet unnamed planetoid had become a colony and was home to many families. So here's what it is. The Narcissus arrives back on Earth. Ripley is gotten out of hypersleep. 50 years of Earth time has passed. 20 minutes in hypersleep. Those responsible for the corporate decisions involving the alien have been deposed or destroyed, and a new era reigns. No knowledge of the alien exists. Previous records lost or destroyed. The planet of the Spotted Dick has been colonized some 5 years previously, so far without untoward incident. Ripley finds it difficult to believe that the inhospitable planet could be auspicious for any kind of settlement. This colony seems, however, to have tamed its harsher elements and is in fact now farming peacefully. Ripley's dire warnings about the planet's other inhabitants is greeted with some skepticism. However, a mission, an investigative trip, is commissioned, and a group of very tough military types is put together and sent out. So very much like the bare bones of Aliens. And it continues further. Meanwhile, back on the planet, we see the glory of the frontier space colonies, a hardy group of families tilling the virgin soil, building a community, etc. Small children playing on a mountainside discover a shaft, the entrance to the alien spacecraft cleverly disguised as a mountain rock, or something equally prosaic. Unaware of the horrors within, they toddle in for a look. Toddle. Great use of language. Eventually, of course, they discover the egg chamber. I don't know how much value there is in having the toddlers' heads bitten off in gruesome fashion by their alien contemporaries, so perhaps it is merely by the introduction of some other element like light or warmth which triggers the hatching of not just one of the horrible eggs, but all of them. The whole egg chamber bursting into life, the kids beat a hasty retreat. I mean, that's fascinating, isn't it? The aliens, having made structures out of themselves and cocoons out of the colonists, it might be that the team is already inside one of the sky structures, discovering the cocoon colonists, when they then discover that the structure itself is alive and hostile. The answer to all this is clear. Our team has to get off the planet and destroy it. Maybe they should discover something on the spaceship left from the dental patient, so that's what it was originally called, or it's what they sort of garnered it as anyway for a laugh. That tells them something about the alien and its potential menace to all other living forms. That it's an anti-life force. Some bullshit. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? The planetoid of the alien explodes, sending alien eggs to Earth, where shades of invasion of the body snatchers, a whole flock of the monsters run rampant. The team sees only one real shot at conquering the alien hordes. They must find the entrance to the spaceship, penetrate to the very bowels of the egg chamber, and hope they can find a way to destroy the aliens from within. While searching for the entrance, the team lives like gorillas in a supremely hostile enemy territory. Several of them are wiped out in an excruciatingly violent fashion, and the survivors are on a razor's edge, fighting amongst themselves. Some ready to abandon the planet and leave the universe to its fate. Ripley manages to hold the team together until they find the entrance. So there's a lot which is quite similar to this, but then again, like a lot which goes way off the reservation. Penetrating the egg chamber is a descent into hell. More members of the team are lost, but finally Ripley and the few survivors reach the center of the chamber. They find inscriptions or some sort of information that tells them that aliens are more than mere flesh-eating monsters. They are an anti-life force that could endanger the living universe. Interesting that they started to take it up to that notch. I mean, we all know that they can endanger the living universe, but that's a massive notch to push it to, isn't it? In some magnificently clever fashion, Ripley and the team figure out how to reverse this anti-life force, in a sense, causing the aliens to implode. Ripley and the team fight their way out of the chamber, and with only seconds to spare, blast off the planet as the aliens implode in a black hole effect or something similar. mental. Absolutely mental. I like it. I absolutely like it. There's a lot which was different, obviously, in the end. But I like it, and it's nice. You know, this is the interesting information that you get from these books. You know, so again, this is kind of a book review, but then kind of another kind of review, I guess, as well. But check it out. Check this article out. Check the links I've linked down below. Yeah, have a good look around. There's some interesting bits and bobs. I can highly recommend these books. They're collector's pieces. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, if I missed H, give the video a like and a share. Please do check that you are actually subscribed, because YouTube is on, well, in the words of David Giler and Walter Hill, some bullshit at the moment. They're unsubscribing people. They're not notifying people. They're not even recommending videos. So, you know, turn your notifications on to all. But thanks so much for watching. Take care.